Congresswoman Katie Porter gained notoriety by being tough on corporate executives while she was serving on the House Financial Services Committee. Here she is grilling Jamie Dimon.
See if you can find a way for her to live on less than the minimum that I've described.
Just be helpful.
Well, I appreciate your desire to be helpful, but what I'd like you to do is provide a way for families to make ends meet so that little kids who are 6 years old living in a one-bedroom apartment with their mother aren't going hungry at night because they're $567 short from feeding themselves, clothing them. We allow no money for clothing. We allow no money for school lunches. We allow no money for field trips, no money for medical, no money for prescription drugs, nothing. And she's short $567 already. Mr. Dayen, you know how to spend $31 million a year in salary, and you can't figure out how to make up a $567 a month shortfall. This is a budget problem you cannot solve.
With us, she does get full medical. We pay 90% of it. Correct. And we also give people—
No deductible?
There's a deductible, but for people doing their wellness programs, okay, we give the people making under $60,000 a year a $750 account.
Correct.
And effectively, they have no deductible.
That's why I didn't put any medical in, Mr. Dayen. I read that in your shareholder report. That's why I didn't include any medical expenses, but she's still short $567, as are all of your employees in Irvine, California.
The new Congress is making her pay a price, David Dayen reports. Porter lost her seat on the Financial Services Committee and will serve instead on the Natural Resources and Oversight Committees.
Okay, what's going on here? The chair of the Financial Services Committee, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, shrunk the size of the group down from 60 to 54, leaving Porter out. Executive editor of the American Prospect, David Dayen, joins us now to discuss this impact. David, she probably is single-handedly the best questioner on that entire committee. What possible reason could there be for excluding her?
Well, you can draw your own conclusions as to why. Washington really likes Wall Street money and campaign contributions, and to the extent that Katie Porter was disrupting that, then we have the situation we have. All I can say is that the argument was made that Katie Porter decided to go for other committees. She made House Financial Services third on her list, and therefore she took the risk and she got what she got. The reality, when you look at the House Financial Services Committee, is that everybody on that committee serves on some other committee, even though it is in Washington parlance supposed to be an exclusive committee. Which is kind of strange and kind of speaks to how Maxine Waters has been handling the committee. There are 4 members out of the 30 Democrats that are chairs of other committees that serve on the House Financial Services Committee. So there's a bunch of part-timers on this committee that I'm not sure why you wouldn't want people who are knowledgeable, prepared, and willing to serve on there. Then you get to the question of, well, why did Katie Porter put this third on her list? And you start to recognize that under the surface, beyond these hearings, Katie Porter did not pass a piece of legislation through the committee, despite having several bills introduced. This is very rare for Financial Services Committee members to not have any legislation passed. And she was admonished on multiple occasions for her questioning, particularly for the use of things like whiteboards and audio and things like that. And often Waters would side with the Republicans who didn't want her to be using those special audiovisual aids. It just seemed like Porter wasn't allowed to be effective on the committee. And, what would you do? Maybe you'd seek elsewhere to try to make change.
Yeah. It's a damn shame because, we covered some of her work here on the show. We don't often cover the inner workings of House committees. But, she was so effective using those, props, using those added items that she would bring in and really grilling people and so extraordinarily prepared in a way that you also don't often see. Just speak to, what kind of loss this ultimately is to not have her voice on that panel. And also, what do you think is going on here? Do you think Maxine Waters was these clips would oftentimes go viral? Was she upset about the attention she was getting? Is it a matter of corruption? Do you have any insight into what the motives actually are here?
Well, I mean, first of all, it is a major loss. I mean, even though she was sort of not working in the legislative arena on these committees, even the hearings themselves were making policy. They were making change. There was one hearing famously, this was in the Oversight Committee, but she was, forced the CDC director to admit that testing for the coronavirus would be free. And that led to that actually coming to pass. There are several other instances, including in financial services, of just the use of that bully pulpit being a spur for change. So if that was what you could do just through public hearings, imagine what you could do if you had access to the levers of actual legislation. So it is a big loss. And this is someone who was a consumer protection expert, an attorney, someone who used her power as the monitor of the foreclosure settlement in California to help people with their mortgages, thousands of people across the state. This is someone who, going into Congress, said, I want to be on the House Financial Services Committee because it is the cause of my life. So it's just, why would you take that level of commitment, expertise, and talent and alienate it and put it somewhere else? That's really confounding and speaks to a larger issue of what Democrats do with their bench, right? Particularly in the House.
That's a good point.
I don't know if it's corruption. I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know if it's lack of attention. I'm not in anybody's head. But I do see the trajectory of young, progressive, up-and-coming members not achieving certain levels of responsibility or leadership within the House Democratic Caucus. And we see this over and over again.
So well said. David, thank you so much for digging into this, because this was one of the things that was boggling my mind, why they made this move ultimately. Thank you so much. Great to see you.
Thanks, David.
All right, thanks.
We'll have more Rising for you after this.